Are you thinking about your New Year's resolutions yet? In fact, let me ask a harder question. Did you stick to any of your resolutions last year? Now, throughout human history, or at least the last 4,000 years of it, we have used the transition from one year to the next as a moment or a movement to vow self-improvement. Some sources report as many as 80% of New Year's resolutions fail. So why do we continue when there's such a high chance of failure? And is there any way to get better success rates? I'm Dr. Kandi, a GP and a mom to two, and I talk about little actions that make a big difference to your overall health and wellness. So the origins of New Year's resolutions are with ancient cultures that made promises to their deities or gods to grant a successful year of farming. Now, obviously, that is no longer why we resolve to change. So why do we actually do it? Psychologically, the start of a new calendar year creates changes in our mindset. We think back on prior year's events and assess if it could have gone better, and a new year marks a fresh start and a new beginning. At the start of a new year, there are, as yet, no bad days, failures or setbacks, and that stimulates an optimistic can-do feeling within us. We often set out with gusto. The new year is going to be different in some way from the previous year, but by the time February hits, often these optimistic feelings have been replaced with resignation to our former ways. And sometimes it's the way we set New Year's resolutions that really sets us up for failure. So let's talk about 3 reasons why New Year's resolutions fail. Firstly, they can be too vague. For example, a vague resolution could be, this year I'm going to be healthier. Or this year, I'm going to spend more time with my family. Admirable, of course, but how are you going to be more healthy? When are you going to make time to see your family? If we don't define specific steps that we take to meet our goals, then we're never really going to get there, are we? Secondly, they can be very unrealistic. It's so tempting to think, new year, new you, but it might not be that realistic. Going from a couch potato to an every day of the week gym goer, for example, maybe not impossible, but a bit of a stretch. Aiming to read a book every week of the year when we haven't read a book since, secondary school, again, unlikely to happen. It may be that we're also being unrealistic with the number of changes we want to make. If you want to overhaul your health, relationships, career and education all in one year, that is a lot of pressure to put on yourself. So it's not realistic to be able to focus on all those areas at once. And thirdly, non-motivating. Often New Year's resolutions are set because of external pressures, whether that be from society or colleagues or from friends and loved ones. If you don't feel passionate about that change, you are going to lack motivation, reducing your chances of succeeding to zilch. So should we just give up? Are all resolutions destined for failure? What does the science say? Well, there is some robust psychological research that concludes that goal setting is effective, motivating, and can change our behaviors. So what can we do to help us just be more successful? The first step to meaningful change is to acknowledge where we are at. Take stock of what you've accomplished in the last year. It can be tempting to focus our resolve to change on areas we're struggling with, but building on past successes can really cause us to have a more positive approach to any changes that we want to put into place. Be specific with the reason for the goal. This is your motivation. Make your goal quantifiable if possible. This will focus your efforts and give you a benchmark to measure your success. Specify your time frame. This could be scheduling when you're going to work on your goal or setting a date that you'd like to achieve your goal by, whatever it may be. Writing down both the route to achieve your goal and documenting your progress is definitely going to help. It helps us to embed these goals into our memory. It can help us to be more purposeful rather than just having passing thoughts of change. And if you keep a journal, for example, it's an excellent place to start. If you're not necessarily the journaling type, then write yourself an email and keep it in your inbox, or write it out and stick it up somewhere that you're going to see often, perhaps your desk or your fridge, or if it's a little bit more personal, the inside of your wardrobe, for example. If you feel comfortable sharing your goal, then go for it. I'm such an advocate of this. Making others aware gives us an added sense of accountability and obligation. Not wanting to let anyone else down can be a really huge motivator. So once you reach your goal, your friend can join in celebrating your success. So is New Year the only opportunity to change? Okay, New Year's as good a time as any, a clear marker of time, a fresh beginning, but we can literally have a fresh beginning whenever we want. It's all in the mind, right? A clean slate can happen at the beginning of a month, the beginning of a week, the beginning of a day. You could even have a reset once you finish watching my video. All that happened before you started watching this has gone before. Nobody can alter it. What happens after the reset is totally up to you. Setting goals and focusing on your actions can really help you improve. And frankly, that is what this channel is all about. Small actions that make a big difference to your overall health and wellness. If you want to know more about what specific goals you can set, then stick around, subscribe and turn on your notifications. My next video will give you some goal setting inspiration. Thank you so much for listening, and please subscribe to Life of Dr. Kandi. I wish you a happy new year.